Hello everybody, I am back and today I'm going to be doing my monthly start to finish video, and I'm going to be using Country Lula from CC Designs, and we're just going to start in this first video with her skin and hair like usual. This time I'm doing a little bit different skin tone than my usual go-to combination. I'm going to be doing E00, E01, E13. It's going to just be a touch darker than my usual E00, 00, and 11. So I'm going to start with my E00. That's my lightest in the combination, and I'm just a light to dark color, but you could go either way. Okay, so I'm going to start laying color down, and I think I'm going to have my light source coming in from the left on her. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I start laying color on. And get this going. And while I'm doing this, since skin's pretty repetitive, I've done a lot of videos where I'm just coloring this up. I have had some questions about just coloring with Copics in general, and asking if I was certified, and the answer to that is no. I am not Copic certified. I got my first Copics back in May of 2009, so about 3 years ago, and there has been very few days since then that I haven't colored something. And granted, I do have an art background, so it's not like I haven't worked with paints and pencils and all sorts of stuff in the past. But I hadn't worked with Copics, before about 3 years ago. But I know color principles and shading and stuff. I already had kind of a grasp on that, and it was just applying it to the markers. So that most is the reason why I didn't and haven't bothered to get certified, Copic certified. I also haven't really had the opportunity. There's been nothing, no classes offered very close to me. And at first I would have loved to. And now, as long as I've been doing it, I don't know how much I would really bother. But never say never. And it's something you're thinking about doing. I think if you're getting started and the classes are really great for teaching you the basic principles of working with the markers, and can really be helpful if you don't have any other background in art or anything. So I'm not saying don't take the classes, but I also don't, in my case, and I think in a lot of other people's cases, not really a necessity, but they definitely, if you had the opportunity to go to one, check it out. Why not? But for me, nope, not Copic certified. This is just all trial and error, looking at other people's blogs and finding combinations from the ones who were kind enough to write down their list of colors, which is, why I've chosen to do that on my own blog, and just kind of going from there. Okay, so I laid down all of my colors, and then I kind of blended back. And then I added my rosy cheeks. And now I'm just going to go in with my lightest, which is the 00 on this side. Just kind of blend the pinkness of the cheeks in a little bit more. And then on this side, since it's my darker side of the face, I'm going to start with the EO1, which is my middle tone, to blend the cheeks in over here and kind of get more shadow. And then just kind of in the middle blend it with my lightest, which is the 00. Okay, so I got the face all done. Now we're just really quickly going to get the rest of her little hands and arms, and then the legs. I grabbed this little Lula because I thought she would be fun, even though she wasn't released for an Easter release, with the little basket of eggs that she's carrying. If we'll be coloring up in colors. So instead of like gathering eggs on the farm, we're turning her into a little Easter girl. So that'll be a fun. I got some fun new Doodlebug papers that I'm going to be using in the next couple videos when we start putting the card together. And I think this will be really cute with Lula. So, okay, so what else? What else was I asked? Oh, it is, you know, it's a cliche and stuff, but it really is, practice makes perfect. The more you do it, it's like anything, the better you'll get at it. The more comfortable you'll get with the process, and the more knowledgeable you will get about what the markers are capable of, and you know, the combinations that you can achieve and the looks that you can get. It really does come down to just sitting and, you know, playing with them and coloring. There's no real shortcuts. Even with classes, even with, you know, backgrounds in art, it really does come down to playing with the markers consistently. The more you do it, the better you get. So now I laid down all my colors, light to dark, and now is where I start blending everything together. Just pulling from the darkest area into the lightest. And I tend to leave white in the beginning, where I'm going to know it's going to be the lightest. Okay, and then finish off with my 00, which is my lightest in this combination. And just fill in on that lighter side. So anyway, I hope that answers the different questions I've been getting about, you know, my background in this, and also what you should be doing to be getting better yourselves. So really it is practice, 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 color, color, color. Okay, so we've got her skin all done, and I'm kind of thinking, now that I'm looking at her, she's already got a little natural sprinkling of freckles up there. So I'm going to grab my E15, and I'm going to add a few more just across her cheeks. And I'm also going to go over those ones too. Just to kind of play up the darker skin tone, like she's really getting some sun. They're having a nice, bright, sunny springtime where little Lula is living. Yeah. Okay, so she's got some cute little freckles now. Just a shade darker, that's why I went with the E15 than the other colors that I used in the combination. Okay, so we got her skin done, and we're going to move on to the hair. And I'm playing around with a little bit different reddish hair color combination that I wanted to try. I'm going to start with a YR12. And my biggest incentive for trying this one is because I wanted to play around a bit more with my E90 markers. I would say out of all of the earth tones, all the E marker Copics, the E90 family is my least used E markers. I don't pull them out a whole lot. So any chance to kind of play with them and experiment. I really like them for if you're ever coloring terracotta pots. Perfect. They make them look so real. But I wanted to give them a go in a hair color combo today. So we will see how this goes. And I'm just mapping out where my highlights are. So I have that kind of halo of light going across her forehead where that would be bending out her hair, and then anytime it's bumping out over here, I'm kind of leaving it white to start with because that's going to be my lightest area. Okay, so now I'm going to my E97. We're just going to lay that right over top. Just not going quite as far as we did with the YR12. And when I practiced with this one, I started with the E95 as my lightest, but it was just way too pink for what I wanted this to look like. And that's why I decided to instead go with the YR12. It was a little bit more orange and gave it a nicer kind of golden glow than the E95 did. And that's just where playing with the markers again, it comes to just working with them and, you know, not being afraid of, you know, not loving something the first time around, and practicing. So E99 is my next color in the combination, and we're just, you know, adding that, always kind of starting in the part and working out. I always try to follow the natural lay of the hair and how it would fall. Get the tips of her bangs here. And then in these little divots where it's kind of the waves of her hair bending in. And then back behind her head would be in shadow. And then back here. And then, okay. And I got one more color in this combination. I wanted to get a little bit darker, and E39 is what I chose. And it's just a real subtle browning up of the darker shadows. Probably not a super necessity in the combination, but I wanted to add it in there. Okay, so I've laid down all the colors, and as you can see, it's, you know, not pretty at the beginning. This is where now we start blending back down and getting it to look nice. So, E99 right over top, pulling out a little bit further than I did the first time. Up this way, always kind of with the direction of the hair. And I can go up, and I think I'm going to go even a little bit more here. Pull it a little farther on this side, since we know this one's opposite the light source. This, you know, this is going to be a little bit brighter over here, a little bit darker over here. Just blending these together a little bit. Okay. Down to the E97. And not starting all the way in the darkest area. This is just kind of starting in that middle area, the 99, and pulling out. Same over here. Not going all the way into that part, but pulling further out than we did the first time. We're starting to fill in that white space that I left at first. Blending those colors, get a smooth transition from dark to light. And then same on these little curls, the waves of her hair as they bump out towards the light. Okay, now finishing off with the YR12, the lightest in the combination. And again, not starting all the way back here, just in the middle of the E97. And going all the way. I'm, filling in all that white. If you wanted her to have super glossy hair, you could leave little bits of the white showing, and it'll make it look shinier than coloring it all in. But for this one, I wanted to get it all filled in. Not often do I leave a lot of super high gloss in the hair, but that's just personal preference, and that's where, as you color and play around with images, you'll discover what looks you like the best. Okay, so now that I have that, see where I'm at, and I'm going to go back to my E97 and just pull a little bit more while the YR12 is still wet, and blend a little bit more. Like I said, I've said it before, the once down and back doesn't have to be it and done. It's like you can play around with these colors until you get them exactly how you want them. You can keep adding layers of color on until you get to a saturation point back here, which, here up here in the dark areas, I'm running out. I can't add too much more color before it's not going to have anywhere to go. But I like what I have now, where I'm at. You could be done, but for me, once this, let it dry a little bit. And then I like to take my darkest marker and add in some lowlights that are going to break across those lighter areas, and it's just going to give it a more natural look to the hair. So I'm going to go in with my E99. And just with the very tip of the marker, just very carefully give her some little strands of hair. And you can follow. Some images give you a lot of strands to add in, and some you're kind of making up your own as you go. Like she's got a few, but not a lot, and not many that go all the way from the top of the head down to the end of her bangs or the end of her hair. So I'm just kind of, wherever I want to throw in these darker low lights, I'm just kind of flicking them in, reinforcing that part up there, and then just following the lines here as well. And this one I do have a line to follow. Reinforce the darker area there. And like I said, I could be a little bit darker on this side of her hair, with it being further away from our light source. And then do the same here, following this line. Reinforcing that little area there, and then bringing the line down and giving her some little wavy lines back here as well. Okay, so I think I'm getting to where I got the lines that I want, giving her the look I want it to have. Not bad at all. So it's kind of a brown red hair color combination. That's not as bright, it's a little bit more muted than some of the other ones I've done. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one. So we've got her skin, and we've got a kind of a darker skin tone, a little bit earthier brown red hair going. I think this will be a fun one. I'm going to end this video, and then we'll finish up coloring her clothes. And then the video after that, we will put the card all together. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a little bit.